children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's that?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Yeehaw! We are starting 2021 right, boys. By going over all the best movies of 2020.
Which didn't think there would be best movies the way it was going at one point.
We're going to do 13 each, so this could go a very long time, but I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of crossover, so hopefully we'll speed it up a bit. I'm Jason Brandt, joined as always by Dreamscape Rules, a.k.a. Tim Meyer.
What's up?
Johnny Dangerously.
You bargain ice hole.
Yeah. That guy's voice. Hunter Shea.
Always chasing Amy.
Damn, man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
That's a great movie.
Hey, any movie that gives me the word finger cuffs that I can just whip out at any moment. Just people like, what? You don't want to be called finger cuffs, trust me.
All right, so before, obviously it's going to be a different episode. We're not doing a main feature. We're not doing any kind of curation, which is good because I didn't have to watch Hellraiser this week. So that makes me happy. So we're just going to jump right into it here. But first, I want to say that next week we are doing an interview with the writer and producer of Anything for Jackson. And we're reviewing with him Hard Rock Zombies, which should be quite entertaining. So tune in for that. You guys have any?
Like he has a sense of humor. I think this will be fun.
It was his recommendation, so it should be a good time.
That's right. If it sucks, it's his fault.
That's right.
I mean, it's absolutely going to suck.
It's definitely going to suck.
It's going to be awful. I don't think we're watching this for like a good viewing experience.
Maybe
but
we should
hopefully
all watch it.
Suck.
We should like group watch it this weekend.
We should. We totally should.
That's a good idea.
Not a bad idea.
Would make it a lot more entertaining.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys have anything to announce before we jump into it?
No.
Nope. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Well, let's go with the new guy with your 13th pick of best movie of the year.
So
wait, we didn't do the drinking rules.
Oh, god damn it.
Oh, you messed it all up.
I'll read the drinking rules, you son of a Jesus Christ.
I hate myself.
This is almost 200 episodes. All right. If Jack says the word, Jack, yes. Jackson, stayed, or fun, take a drink. If I say invisible, relic, or year, dude, I'm not going to say relic. If Jason says 1BR, batter, Cronenberg, and if Manscaped Hippie says space, Verotica, or sequel, there's not a chance in hell anyone's saying the word Verotica, except right here.
One.
Take a drink, and then the bonus words, if any of us say hunt, rabid, and daddy. Daddy.
My rabid daddy.
Very nice.
So mean to me.
I am going to say, too, before we start, I only did movies this year to appease you guys. But next year, I'm going back to whatever the hell I reviewed during the year. So I'll kiss my ass after this year.
Wow. I will say this. I have, just like looking through Twitter or listening to some of the horror podcasts I listen to and hearing some other people's lists and seeing some, there are such a wide variety of movies making lists this year. And some I want to like take people's horror cards away. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's so funny because some of my top movies I have not heard on anybody's list, which I thought were like no-brainers. I'm like, I don't know.
Honestly, I'd be willing to bet over half of my list is not on most people's top anything.
I will tell you, if you're a fan of Bloody Good Horror, and they've been around forever, and they are probably the kings of this, Shudder does sponsor them, whatever. They don't watch 1/20th of the horror movies that we watch every year. In fact, most of them just watch the horror movie of the week. So come on over here and let's get Shudder on board and let's all make a new kind of
Their lists are going to be night and day compared to ours, I predict.
Oh, I saw their list.
I saw their list too, and I was like, whoa. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Well, I guess there really weren't many studio releases this year. So I was gonna say they probably have a lot more studio stuff than we do, and a lot more indie. But it wasn't a whole shitload of studio stuff coming out. So
nope,
we shall see. But I do have three ridiculously low budget movies on my list that are going to be fun to talk about. I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit. So let's jump into it there, Dreamscape. What do you got?
I'm going to preface this by saying that this was super hard to do. I struggled with it. It took me probably about a solid 2 weeks to kind of put this thing together. And I watched a shitload of movies last week too. Because I wanted to be prepared and I wanted to make sure I saw pretty much everything that had come out this year. So I could get like a good list together. So I have like 5 honorable mentions. I guess we'll do those at the end. Is that what you guys normally do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my number 13 is a Shudder original called Host.
Hunter's number 1.
That's you know what? That's been on the Shudder TV a lot, and I've watched it now like twice since then. I'm less offended by it, but still not offended. It just wasn't my movie.
I think it hit me just right at the right time during the pandemic. I think the viewing experience that I had watching it, we watched it on my laptop in the dark, definitely enhanced the experience.
Yeah, I wish I'd done that.
I think it's just a fun, solid movie. I give it kudos for doing something that definitely probably wouldn't have happened in a non-pandemic scenario. And I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think it was innovative. I thought it was pretty creative. And I 13 was tough because, like I said, I have like 5 movies that could also have easily made the list. And I'm sure the movies that didn't make this 13th spot are going to be maybe really high up on your guys' list. So I knew that this was probably one that you guys wouldn't mention, maybe. So I decided to throw it in a 13th slot.
That's a good reason to bring it in.
Yeah.
It's not the scariest thing that happened on Zoom this year, though. That guy from in New York. So that lost points for me there.
This meeting over. Time to masturbate.
Oh, that's I had a feeling that's what you were referencing. But yeah, that is definitely
that guy is a freaking genius.
That's my number 13. That guy.
Even I haven't done that yet.
All right.
Which is very surprising.
Yeah, I might do
actually.
it right though.
I'm surprised you haven't logged in yet with something that I didn't want to see. So.
No, not yet. It's a new year. It's a new me.
Jack, what do you got?
Well, my number 13, and I'm going to get crushed for this one, is not Host. It's Hosts.
Ooh.
Which I can't remember which one that was.
So Host was the one where the
You
2
can't.
people, like in, I don't know if they're in England, get like possessed by these like lights in their eyes.
Oh,
And then they go over to the house and have dinner, and they're like hosting entities, and murder and mayhem goes
I gotta change my list.
crazy in the house. And again, when we get to honorable mentions, this movie was not on my list till 15 minutes ago. And then I was like, I keep thinking about this movie all year, and other movies that I just saw. I'm like, wow, that was really good. I really like it. I'm like, it's not a crime to not put a movie that I really liked a lot on this list. I have to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I like you said, Tim, I wanted to make sure people heard about this movie. Also, the filmmaker from this, I was introduced to this guy by email by the One Bedroom guys. And he sent us the screener. So that was really nice of him. And that I'm not doing my typical, I got a free book and I'm plugging it, because you guys all know, I think this movie had the best kill of the year in it. And I thought it had some really tense moments. There's a scene in the attic that I really loved. So those are sitting with me still. And I keep coming back to it. So I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that really had an impact on me. So Hosts is mine.
That's a good movie.
There was some cool stuff in that. Wasn't my favorite, but they did some neat things. Particularly, like I said, when we first watched it, I'm pretty sure that was shot in one of the guys' houses.
Yeah.
You know, so they weren't working with a whole lot, and the fact that they managed to do something that stuck with so many people is pretty cool.
The dinner table murder was worth it.
Oh, totally.
That's it. That's why I was like, this has got to be on the list just for that.
I can say it's probably a safe prediction. That's not on my list. Finger cuffs. Have at it.
All right. This is part of my mad 2-week dash to watch so many movies. I think I bankrupted myself by buying everything I could find.
Same.
This one was on Hulu. I don't know if you guys even heard of this. The Owners.
Oh,
I've
I
heard of
have
it.
it. I
Yeah.
started watching it, and I had to stop for some reason, so I never finished it. Macy
So-
Williams, right?
Maisie Williams is in it. It's a British home invasion movie where she has a boyfriend who's probably got sub Forrest Gump IQ, and his weird older friend and the chubby friend who's driving the getaway car. They're going to break into the house of a doctor that they know and have grown up with, because the fat guy's mother works in the house as like a maid or something, and take off with some money and probably buy a bunch of cigarettes and I don't know. What's that old speckled hen? Probably drink a lot of old speckled hen. And of course, things go wrong. This movie was really good. This was like, at one point when I first watched it, this is top 10 because it's just fun and it's so well done. And the pivotal characters, the doctor and his wife, who are much older, they're probably in their 70s. They carry this movie. And Maisie Williams was really good. So it was weird to see her with long blonde hair and kind of being a bit of a loser whore.
My number one is another Macy Williams movie called The New Mutants.
You're not allowed to speak anymore then if that's number one. But
Did that
it's on
damn thing
Hulu.
even come out?
It came out.
I think it's out. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
it's on VOD.
Nobody cares.
I haven't pulled the trigger on it though. So
All right.
No. So
Well,
good.
so my number 13 is a movie I did not want to watch. It kind of came out right before the pandemic. It is Underwater.
Yep.
Is it Kristen Stewart or Kirsten? I think it's Kristen.
Kristen.
Kristen,
Stewart.
Yeah. I wanted us to do this movie.
Yes, you did, and you were right. It's for being a big budget Lovecraftian underwater horror movie. I just did not have high expectations, and I ended up thoroughly enjoying it. It's got some, a few problems here and there. It's number 13, not number 1, but it was a lot of fun. It's actually one on this list that I'm looking forward to watching again. And even though there are movies higher on this list, they're not always so much fun. And I'm not necessarily looking forward to rewatching them over and over. But this is one I could see thrown on every now and then. It's quite enjoyable, and it's a shame that it bombed because I want more movies like this. So it's just a good time. Just throw it on and enjoy some mayhem.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Tim.
it made my honorable mention, so I'll throw that out there.
All right.
Spoiler.
Yeah, that was one I really liked a lot. Didn't make my list, but it totally surprised me as how enjoyable it was.
I wanted to put it on there just for the end of that movie. It was amazing.
That's why it's on there. That end, I was just like, oh my god,
Yes, so satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my number 12 is a movie that Jack and I had talked about recently that we both watched, and that movie is Freaky.
Freaky.
Freaky. Vince Vaughn as Vince Vaughn playing a high school girl. Just it's a hilarious movie. It's made by the same people who did Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2. And I love this movie. It's funny. It's got all the horror stuff in there that you'd want from R-rated horror movie, and it's totally worth watching. And it ended up being one of my favorite movies this year.
That's
I watched
one
it
didn't get
yesterday.
to.
You watched?
I didn't. That's the only one I didn't get to. I was like, oh well.
I snuck it in yesterday, and I thought about putting it on my list, but I just had too much good stuff.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's this year was tough because it's like I had my top 5 like filled out pretty early, but everything from like 6 through all the honorable mentions, it was like, where do they all fit? It was
Yep.
just like, oh.
That's
But
it.
yeah,
My
I think
prediction. Okay.
I was just gonna say, I think Vince Vaughn's performance in that really elevated that movie. It could have gone really badly if anybody else was in that role. But I think like he did such a phenomenal job. And again, like the script was pretty solid because that guy's I think he's a really good writer, and like that style of filmmaking with the female lead and a lot of those themes, he's really good at doing. So I think it belongs on my list.
Yeah, it's always good casting having Vince Vaughn be like a killer or a villain or whatever, or a super badass hero. He was not really been used that way until the last few years, but he's such a giant son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, I love him in his serious stuff, like True Detective season 2. I mean,
Psycho.
not the best Psycho, not the best season of True Detective, but he does a good job.
The writing was a problem with that series, not the actors.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, the second season's a little weird. I still like it, but it's a little choppy. But also, what the hell's that guy's name? He did Bone Tomahawk, his other movies, Brawl and Cell Block, and Drag Cross Country. Dude, he kills it in those movies too, and those are really dramatic, serious roles. So the guy can do anything. He can.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
He's so money, he doesn't even know it.
He's so Vegas.
Oh, so are you, Jack? What's your number 12?
Okay. A common theme amongst my list is going to be that the numerical order of this is not the most important thing, because it kept changing every time I looked at it. And there came a point where I was like, well, I'm going to group these together because of this reason or that, whatever. So I think if I was a movie critic and not a podcaster, and I was like, well, what is the finest movie, the most highest quality movie, this might be higher on my list, but it was tremendous, so it's on the list somewhere. His House on Netflix. Just a really strong movie, really original, a lot of different themes going on in that movie, and some really, really well done scares. And this was one of those ones I just heard murmuring about, and then I think Tim, you saw it for the rest of us. And I was just like, whoa, that was not what I was expecting. So if you haven't seen this one yet, I would say get on it. It's really good.
It really is. First of all, if you're in a really good mood and you want to walk away holding that good mood, don't watch this. Freaking downer, man. But it's a really good movie. It's an honorable mention for me. It was on my list at one point, but
it's on my list.
What?
It is on my list. I finished it today. So I could be recency bias. It might be too high on my list. I don't know, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's super powerful too. Like horror movies don't usually have like that gut punch, like that lasting effect. And like that movie is so powerful.
And you got to see the life of a refugee, which that's not an area that's explored.
No, absolutely not.
Well, this was the movie that I explained to you guys that I learned something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was an amazing time. And it's a Netflix horror movie that is good. I mean,
solid.
That like never happens anymore. So, all right, finger cuffs.
All right, this movie never changed position in my list, even though just about everything else did. But this was 12 from the beginning, 12 now. It's The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Oh yeah,
which
nice. I
think this is such a fun movie. This is classic Bruce Campbell, but it's not Bruce Campbell. It's very much like a Coen Brothers vibe kind of movie, complete with all the snow. Just I don't know. It felt warm and comfy and over the top and weird, and I love the mystery of it. And it's such a good movie. I mean, it really should be top 10, but like I said, it was just so tough, man. From 6 on up, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do this year. But at least it's on the list, and it's worth the watch, and more people need to talk about this one and check it out.
It's an offbeat film. It's on my honorable mention list. I had it. I put down like 20 movies, and I was like, any one of these could be on there, and I had to kind of whittle it down, and that was one of the ones that was just like right there. It's a good one.
Yeah, I love overacting when it's done right, and it was done right.
All right, so mine is a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed when it came out, and I want to go back and revisit it. And I don't know that anyone is talking about it except for us when we did a podcast about it. That is The Room. This movie has the worst title because it shares the same title as the worst film ever made, possibly.
That's true.
Like nobody should use The Room in any way, shape, or form going forward. But
there's like 3 movies, like 3 big movies that have that name.
Yeah. I have not seen this movie on anybody's list.
I haven't either. Honestly, it had completely escaped my mind as being this year. There were like 10 movies. I was like, oh, that's last year. I can't put that on. And then I'm looking them up. I'm like, oh, shit, that was this year. Like COVID has completely screwed up time in my brain.
I thought this movie was last year, too, now that we're talking about it.
Yeah. There were so many I had to go back and look up, and this was one of them. This was I believe a Shudder exclusive. Had never heard anything about it. Just clicked to watch it one day and really thought it was a cool idea. They did some very, very disturbing shit in the last third of this movie that stuck with me for quite a while. So it's a lot of fun, and if you haven't seen The Room, go check it out. Just make sure you get the right one. They're both horrific, but in very different ways.
It's got sweet Olga in it.
Get Cheryl Bree. Was that her name? Captain Marvel? Not
Brie
Cheryl.
Larson.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, yeah.
Cheryl Bree. I think I used to work with her.
I
got Brie Larson. How many Brees? I don't know many Brees. Her version of Room is very good.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of.
Another uplifting.
That's just Room.
Room.
Oh,
Room.
okay.
That's right.
Get a Room. Watch The Room.
I'll get a room with Brie Larson.
I'd get a room with Cheryl Bree.
Wow.
Jason could get one with Tommy Wiseau.
I'd consider it.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Jason.
So anyway, how's your sex life? Tim.
Me. Number 11, I'm going with a movie that we didn't really talk about. If we did, I missed it. Antebellum.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes, I watched that. I don't think we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it. It was a weird movie for me. So first off, if you plan on watching this movie, don't look at the synopsis, because the synopsis of the movie is like one giant spoiler for something that happens about in the midpoint of the movie. That I found like a really effective way of storytelling. At first I wasn't going to include this movie, but like, I don't know. It's such a strange movie that like really stuck with me. And I know it gets a lot of comparisons to like Get Out. Same way, another movie we watched this year called Spiral, just because of the themes and like the social commentary that's in it. But it was a really unique movie on its own. It had great acting in it and a really solid script. And there's like two really big twists in there that I was like blown away by. So I had to put it on here, and it lands on number 11 for me.
I got scared off that movie.
I heard really bad reviews of that movie.
Yeah,
dude, it's not going to be for everybody for sure. But it is an interesting movie, and I think once, like when I first watched it, I was kind of like lukewarm about it, and I was like, I don't know if I really enjoyed that movie. And then I thought about it, and it's one of those movies, the more you think about it, the more you realize like some of the choices that they made were like really well done, really well thought out. And
this is the Lady Antebellum movie?
No.
It's 1:15.
Is this so? This is not the one I saw. I got this mixed up with another one. What was the movie that's supposed to look like it was in the 70s, where a brother and sister go out in the woods and dig a hole for their dog?
Oh, that's the movie.
That's Antrim. That came out like a few years ago. Yeah. No, this is basically about, I don't even want to talk about it because it's like literally the synopsis of the movie is a spoiler. So
that's fine.
It's about the South.
I'll get to it.
Old South.
Kind of, yeah, but it's deeper than that, and it's really good. I think if you like Get Out and Spiral, I think you'll really enjoy this movie.
Is there a rabid daddy in it?
No.
Drink.
What do you got, Jack?
Okay. This could qualify as my favorite movie of the year because it was my favorite episode of the year and my favorite people of the year. And it was a great movie to begin with. But I'm putting it down here because I want, in case people bail from this show early, I want to get this in. One VR.
This list is not honest.
This list is this one VR. First of all, before we even met the gang that made this movie, great movie. Big surprise. Did not know what to expect from it. The cover art didn't jump out at me or anything like that. Pleasantly surprised. Really engaging movie. Has an ending that's kind of like the reminiscent of The Invitation a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of does what for apartment buildings what Jaws did for swimming. But it was a great setting for a movie, and where it goes is keeps you guessing, and you kept expecting it to fall into cliche, and it doesn't. So just the movie alone, great movie, and it's the little movie that could, because as I watch these guys on Twitter and they're making different lists and stuff, but my God, then when we had them on the show,
That was
I loved them. That was so much fun. They're such great people that I was just like, oh my God, this is, now it's very dear to me, even on another level. So I'm putting it here so that I can, celebrate it early.
Look at you. Well, this is number 11, right?
Yeah.
Mine is 1BR2, but I have no ulterior motive other than thinking it's number 11. I like this movie because I'm a property manager of high-end apartment buildings. So I'm like, oh, I don't get to see much horror in the kind of work that I do. And I am tempted to buy a bunch of copies of the Blu-ray and give them to every new resident.
Yeah.
It's like it's with your welcome kit. Hey, here's everything, the rules of the community and everything. Oh, and you watch this movie. Good luck. Good night. Have a good night's sleep. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. It explored territory that we don't see very often. It's funny because at the time I was thinking of writing some sort of horror movie or book or whatever that deals with that kind of stuff. So now I know what not to do. I got to go like opposite, whatever. But I thought it was fun. And them on the show, that was a total pisser, man. They were so much fun.
Yep.
So, solid 11 for me.
Mine is His House. I watched it today. So I didn't mention at the beginning, from like 6 to 13, I feel like I could chop it up and move it all around at any point and be happy with my list. I'm probably going to move things as we're talking right now.
Mhm.
It's really like the top 5 that are like super rock solid, but this one snuck in there. It actually knocked off. I wanted to have Color Out of Space on, but just because of how insane that movie was. But I watched this, I thought, man, this is so well done. And I bitch constantly about these movies that have messages that are more important than the story. If you want to have a message, watch this movie. It's just a great movie. Even if you take out whatever they're saying about refugees and all that, it's just a great haunted house movie with a pretty freaking crazy twist at some point in it. And it's got all the messaging you want, if that's your thing. And it's just done so well. Who gives a shit? It's a great movie. And Netflix actually released a good horror movie. I'm still in shock.
Yeah, they've done a couple this year.
Yeah. It had great visual effects and great sound design. I was really surprised by how well done this movie was. So
yeah,
if you haven't seen it yet, His House, Netflix, dig it.
In the middle of our street.
Into his house, as
In his house.
So I guess that's me, right?
That's you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go another movie that kind of flew under the radar this year. Again, I don't think we talked about it, but it's a movie called She Dies Tomorrow.
Why do I feel like I've seen this? Damn it.
I don't even
know
that movie.
And
All right.
I never thought.
All right, so this is an interesting flick. I'm kind of glad you guys haven't seen it. I watched it earlier last week, and I again, this was like one of those movies that, upon first watching it, is kind of like, oh, I don't know if I enjoyed that movie. But as like the days went on, I kept finding myself thinking about it, thinking about the themes in it, and it's just a very unsettling movie. So basically, it's about a woman who is like a recovering alcoholic. She's living by herself in California, and she gets this idea in her head that she's going to die tomorrow. And it starts to like just infect her brain, and slowly throughout the night, she is constantly thinking about it. It's all she can think about. It drives her to start drinking again after she's been sober for a little while. Her friend comes over, and then they have a conversation, and the friend leaves, and then she thinks that she's going to die tomorrow. And so then she starts to be infected with this like weird idea. And then so she goes to a party, and then I'm not going to tell you what happens from there, but you can kind of like get where it's going to go in. But dude, this movie's like, it's super slow. It's like one of the slowest movies I've ever seen, especially this year.
Oh, boy.
But it's so interesting, and just like the things that they talk about, and just the themes of it, and just how it's shot. It's done really well, and it's kind of got like a I guess it's like a cosmic-y horror feel to it, in the same way like Mandy and Color Out of Space are. There's a lot of like vibrant colors and stuff going on, like VFW, stuff like that. But I don't know, like this movie was just so engrossing, and I found myself, I'm still thinking about it like now. I want to go back and watch it again, because I feel like I missed stuff the first time, and again, it was just really well done, well acted, and just the concept of that is just so original. I don't know, it definitely belongs on my list.
I give you credit because you keep picking movies. You go, I don't know if I really enjoyed that. Like,
It's
I'm
weird.
if I don't enjoy it, fuck you. You can
So-
be the best movie ever.
I love
Like,
everything in my top 13.
So that's a weird thing, because like I said, I crammed movies all last week. Like I probably watched about 20 horror films that came out this year last week.
Mhm.
And this was one of the ones that, like, because I watched them all like in a row, back to back. And this was one of the ones that stuck, and so I based my list kind of on the ones that hung around, and I kept thinking about, and this was definitely one of those that just stuck with me.
This is another one that's very polarizing. I've heard people who hate it, but another few people that it's on their lists.
I could see people hating it because of the pacing is very slow, but like I said, it's interesting. It's definitely, like, the concept is so interesting that I don't know how you could like quit on it. But yeah, I could see people not liking it because it's definitely slower paced than some of the other stuff that we've been mentioning, at least.
I'm gonna check that out. It's been on my radar to watch, and I just did not get to it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching.
I think I kept pushing it because I saw how poorly reviewed it was sometimes. Like the rating or something on IMDb, maybe, I don't remember. And I think I kept pushing it, and then I just slipped my mind. So I got to check it out.
I only watched it because, like, I was cramming for this, and I pulled up maybe like 30 or 40 websites that had best of 2020, and this was on one list. And I was like, I have to watch this movie. The concept sounds so intriguing that I just have to check it out. And it was done. The woman who directed it and wrote it, she was actually in. She's like an actress who's been in a bunch of stuff. And she was actually in a movie I talked about last week, that superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
She was like one of the main stars in that. So I was like, I don't know, it sounds interesting. I kind of want to check it out, and I'm glad I did, because I'm still thinking about it and I want to watch it again.
Nice. Check it out. Jack.
Well, Freaky is my number 10.
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money to see this friggin' movie. You're making my list. Damn it.
This is the biggest news of the year. How much money you paid to watch this movie?
There's a couple of other ones that were fighting for the spot, and I said, no, damn it, I invested in this. I'm getting my money's worth out of it.
So it was going to be on the list no matter what.
No matter what.
I want my ROI.
Exactly. The actual listen, this is definitely the happy death day of the year. Delightful, great, like, horror comedy with actual, like, enjoyable horror in it, and really funny comedy. The reason that this is going to have lasting power is because I think of all the movies on my list, this will probably be the one that I end up watching the most. In, like, if it's on TV or I see it, it's the easiest rewatch. It's just fun and light and hilarious. And so I think, like, where, like, His House, it's a pretty heavy movie. I don't know how many times I'm going to go back and, hey, let's pop this on.
Never. I mean, unfortunately, it's a great movie, but I'll never watch that again.
Whereas Freaky's going to be like, oh, Freaky's on. I got to watch it. I got to at least watch this part. So, and Vince Vaughn channeling the high school girl is just priceless. So it gets number 10 for me.
If you ever wanted to watch Vince Vaughn kiss a 20-year-old dude, this is your movie as well.
That's it.
True.
Oh, this is the episode where I masturbate on camera.
That scene is so spectacular.
Wow. Wow.
Hanta.
All right. So just before I get to my number 10, I just saw the news. Tanya Roberts is actually dead now.
Yes,
She
she is.
just passed away.
Jeez.
So when Jack, I think you were the one that first
Yeah.
posted it, I said, "Oh well, fuck 2021. This is as bad as 2020." Then we heard she wasn't dead. I was like, "Oh, 2021's great." Now screw it. I feel like we're
Yeah,
still
this
trapped in
afternoon.
2020.
This afternoon, it came out that she. I guess she was in. When they said she was still alive, she was still like in.
She was in a coma,
Yeah.
but you always hope.
Yeah.
So God bless her. She grew up in my old neighborhood in the Bronx. It's one of our girls. So my number 10 is about as depressing as this news. And you guys told me about this last week. Hunter x Hunter. So I was like, all right, let me watch this sucker. Let me clear the deck. Everyone out of the room. Boy, I'm so glad, Jason, you didn't say anything really about this movie.
Yeah.
And I just got to just let this roll. And I was like, oh, where is this freaking thing going? But again, this hits my sweet spot, isolation. I love isolation movies. I want to honestly leave everything behind and go live in the wilds of Alaska, either by myself or if anyone wants to come with my family, you can.
Even after watching this?
Even after watching that, believe it or not. So it's just like this dream I've always had. So I just like you, I don't want to give too much away, but these are people, it's a family, husband, wife, daughter, living completely off the grid, and something happens. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yep. Good.
It's really that ending. Oh, I love that ending.
It's impossible to talk about the movie without spoiling it for somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
Just going to say,
maybe do an episode on it sometime so we can do a spoiler section, because I just don't even want to say anything.
Yeah, we should. We should do an episode on it.
we're doing enough right now by just teasing this. Now everyone has to see it.
Yeah.
As
Did you see
should.
it yet, Tim?
Yes, I did.
Oh, all right.
And I also love that ending. It almost made my list, almost. But for the ending alone, I mean that I again don't want to talk about it, obviously, but
we're good.
My wife was like, Hunter. I said, yeah, it's what Jason calls out in his sleep all the time.
Yeah, but it's more in like
up his pajamas.
It's the angry Hunter. It's like the Wrath of Khan.
I gotta edit this shit, you moron.
My number 10 is 1BR.
Very close. Why'd you put it on number 10?
I really like this movie. I thought when we saw it was it maybe middle of the year, a little before that?
A little before.
That for sure this was going to be like a top 5 movie for me. But just I saw so much stuff at the end. I don't know, it could be recency bias, but this still managed to make the top 10 list because it is really good. And yeah, Jack, we had a great time with these guys. And honestly, I was surprised to know, I think he was a first-time producer, was a first-time director, and they ended up making this movie that I really dug. And it just ended up being a bonus that we got to talk to them for a while, and they're freaking hilarious.
In an alternate universe, that conversation is still happening. Like, there's a version where it's never stopped.
I think he wanted it to, but I had to piss so bad. I'm like, this has to stop.
Like 2 hours. We all had to piss.
Well, he went and pissed like 3 times during the episode. So
I know. We're one time trying to be polite hosts and attentive, and we learned our lesson.
So if you haven't checked that out, go listen to our 1BR episode. But excellent movie. Yeah, it's got an invitation vibe, and I love the invitation. And I dig it.
Dig it.
all right. So number 9 for me is a little movie called The Dark and the Wicked. Another one I kind of crammed in there last minute because I wanted to see it. I heard good things, and this movie was pretty cool. Basically about a brother and a sister who like go back to this farmhouse, this family farmhouse, because there's something amiss, and it's just it kind of gets crazy from there. Again, don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, because I knew nothing about this movie going into it. Again, I saw it on a lot of people's lists, and a lot of people had recommended it to me when I had asked for recommendations for 2020 horror movies, and yeah, it was surprisingly good, really good. And the lead actress, I'm probably going to mispronounce her name. I think it's Marin Ireland. She was in Umbrella Academy season 2, And she was really good in that. In this, she is amazing. She does such a good job acting. A lot of the actors do a good job, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I have this this weird affinity for horror movies that dip into the family drama like subgenre, like movies like Hereditary, and this definitely scratched that itch for me. So yeah, it definitely makes my list in the top 10 for sure.
I like this movie a lot.
Yeah,
I did too.
It didn't make my list, but I did like it a lot. It's
Yeah.
creepy.
it's
Like
super
Jack-
creepy. Yeah, and
Jack,
it's super
you
creepy.
said it's probably the scariest movie of the year in terms of creep factor.
And yeah, it's creepy, and like the just the filmmaking, there was just like things that they did in that was like, oh, that was like a cool shot that you don't really see that much, or like that's a cool little thing that they did that that you don't really see. So I don't know, I really enjoyed this movie, had a good time with it, and definitely deserves to be on my top 10.
Yeah, honorable mention for me. It just missed, but really cool. I liked it a lot. Jack.
The Dark and the Wicked is also my number 9.
Oh,
Twinsies.
Yeah, as you just said, Hunter. I think maybe the scariest movie of the year. Creepy atmosphere. They set things up. I never thought there was what you might call jump scares, but they were never cheap. And the imagery in that movie, and so that's where I was looking at stuff like His House and this, and I'm like, how do you rank these movies? You know, they're both so good, and they both are such great takes on The Haunting. But this one, I'll go back and watch again because it's just so raw and dark and scary. So
Yeah,
I put it on there, and I would highly suggest seeing it. It was one of those ones that I kept hearing about, and then you watch the trailer and it's kind of a dark thing. You're like, what is this going on? When you actually sit down and watch it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in.
yeah, totally agree. Hunter.
My number 9. Now, Jason, you loved Underwater, and I did too. I thought Underwater was I couldn't believe that Hollywood got it right. But there was another movie that was like this that wasn't the Hollywood deal. It was from Ireland. And so I was trying to pick between the two. I said, sticking to my Irish roots. Sea Fever.
I watched this last week too.
Sea Fever. First of all, I love Irish horror movies, and it has nothing to do with me being Irish.
Sure.
Maybe a little.
Sure.
But yeah,
They come
Jack
out with-
doesn't like all the stuff people send him either.
I'm
They come out
Italian,
with-
and I don't like Italian horror movies.
See, there we go. But yeah, there's a lot of great Irish horror movies out there. They don't put a lot out, but when they're out, they're good. Like The Citadel and Grabbers, and there's a bunch.
Grabbers is so underrated.
That's
Love
like
that movie.
that's a go-to movie in this house. But this Sea Fever, it's weird. There's parts Tim like. I think it's a little cosmic. It's a little zombie-ish. There's a lot going on this ship, and a lot going on with the people on it, and the distrust that is building on the ship, kind of like The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a cool movie, and I don't think many people actually saw this, which is a shame.
Now, because I see a lot of people giving The Beach House a lot of love, and I thought that was an okay movie.
Mhm.
But if you're going to take your seabearing movie, take this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sea Fever is a good one.
funny accents.
I debated about putting this one on there because I saw that it was 2019, so I kind of left it off. But I still watched it last week anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it was really available till earlier in the year. We did a show early on this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, sometime in the first quarter, second quarter, something like that. We did.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's totally worth watching.
Good eye stuff in this movie.
oh god, I hate
And shower scenes, good shower scenes.
Oh yeah. Wow, I've forgotten quite a bit of that.
That's
movie.
like my favorite part of that movie.
All right.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, I really liked it. It didn't make my list, but there were a lot of good movies that didn't make my list this year. We were bitching all summer about how bad things kind of got, and then it just picked up, baby.
I actually thought the whole year it just felt like there wasn't a lot of like super great stand above the rest, but a lot of like good rentals. Like for people who are stuck in their house watching it, I think we got a lot of good. And there's varying degrees. Like We Summon the Darkness. Wasn't the greatest movie ever, but it was a decent watch for one night, but wouldn't make your
Right.
list. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff like this. I think this was the hardest list to make this year because there were so many movies around the same level.
Yeah, exactly. There weren't those giant, huge movies that blew us away, like Doctor Sleep or something. I mean, I have a couple on here that really blew me away, but like Doctor Sleep and Overlord and things like that were just like, holy crap, this is clearly going to be at the top of the list. No, I agree. This was a tough one to do. And here's one that I did not expect at all, and I just thoroughly enjoyed. And it has the scene of the year that I just keep thinking about, and that is Porno, which you can find on Shudder.
I watched that too.
I really enjoyed this. At the beginning, I was like, man, this is just like goofball comedy. I don't, and then it just got like gorier and crazier. And I just, by the end, I was like, God damn, I really ended up enjoying that. That was
definitely one of the most surprising like gore effects that I've seen in a movie in quite some time.
That scene's coming up. I'm like, they're not gonna show this. They're not gonna. Oh my God, they're showing.
And like it's so weird because like you would think even if they did show it, they would cut away, but they don't.
Nope.
It's got a solid 30 seconds of just like
It
should be a warning.
Long shot. It's like right up.
Gentlemen, cross your legs.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious and I thought it was very effective. But yeah, that's a cool movie. Definitely didn't make my top 10, but definitely a cool movie to check out on if you have Shudder.
Look,
I
the
think
best
you
breakdown
took
of that movie can be found on Monster Men, right, Jack?
Yep. We were on that movie way before everybody.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just watched it on Shudder, and it doesn't disappoint. And I thought it's gonna be one of those two that was like, there's not gonna be any nudity because with the name like that, they're gonna like go the other way. Oh,
Yeah.
No. The main chick is like super naked the whole movie.
She could have been in Veronica.
yeah, for sure. All right, Tim, we are on number 8.
We're just
Ocho.
moving right along here.
We should be done by 11. We're doing well.
I'm actually enjoying this. This is like so far been one of my favorite episodes to record with you guys because we just get to celebrate all the things that we love throughout the year. So this one is actually Hunter. I believe you recommended it maybe last week or a couple weeks ago. Another movie that I found on Shudder called Impetigore.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
I just stuck that one in recently.
This movie is rough to watch. It is surprisingly graphic, but it's a really cool movie, and it has like it's got a lot of things going for it. That opening scene where she's in like the toll booth,
Great.
that was terrifying. Like I was terrified.
Yeah.
Like the way they shot that, just the whole sequence was just like. It was so good. And then when they get to the village and then you start finding out more about like what's going on and like the history, like there's some stuff in there that like I was kind of blown away by. And Hunter, I thank you for recommending this movie because I don't think I would have watched it otherwise. But yeah, it's so good. Such a good movie. If you have Shudder, definitely worth a watch. Blew me away.
Yeah. It's on my list.
One of the things about this movie, it's great. It's The Satan Slaves was a great movie, and this is a worthy follow-up. One of the things that struck me is, again, on other people's lists, I'm seeing people putting Gretel and Hansel, and that movie didn't do anything for me, but it was visually stunning. Then I'm watching this movie, and I'm going, well, this movie is visually stunning. The lighting is amazing in this movie, and it looks almost like a fairy tale, So I would say if you're a Gretel and Hansel fan, this is nothing like that movie, but visually, you might find something you like here.
It was funny because when they're talking about like who's like the big cheese there, and they talk about he's a puppet master. I'm thinking, he's a politician. No, he's a fucking puppet master.
He
He
literally
makes
is a puppet
puppets.
A modern day puppet master. Yeah. So this ended up not making my list, but it was another one that was very close. And one of the main reasons was my wife was maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late. She sat down and starts watching. She's like, what's the story quick? And I started going through it, and it was so goddamn convoluted. I was like, yeah, never mind. Just watch the movie. She's like, was that his mother or her mother or who's? I'm like, now I thought I was following it, but now that I'm trying to explain it, I can't follow the damn thing. So crazy movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This dude is twisted as hell.
Yeah.
I hope he keeps making movies.
Dude, I love it. The practical effects were so effective too.
They were.
I cringed multiple times.
What's wrong with some baby murder? It's fine.
Yeah,
This is the Dark and the Wicked in this, or the two.
Nobody cares about that. If they were drowning puppies, that movie would never come out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Fucked up world.
Jack.
Hunter Hunter.
Oh
Yes. What? Oh, the movie. Gotcha.
This was another one that was hard to put. I was like, where the heck do I put this? And so Jason and I both watched it independent of each other and came at the same time, both gushed about it. So all I got is we don't want to spoil this or anything, but I wasn't really talking while you guys were gushing about it. You got to see this movie. It comes out of nowhere. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's thoroughly entertaining, but you're never going to forget this movie ever.
Yes.
You got to watch it.
Couldn't have said it better.
The end.
Hunter.
Oh, I have 3 letters for you for my number 8. VFW.
Damn.
Nice.
Someone who has frequented VFW halls.
Me too, actually.
They're the greatest places on earth.
Used to go to hardcore shows at them
Really?
until they wouldn't let us do it anymore because we broke the place.
Oh, yeah, that's no good. Don't break the place.
What kind of hardcore are we talking about here?
Not the kind that you masturbate to.
Oh,
You don't know what
well, that's not good.
No, I know everything.
So yeah, this is a bunch of old dudes in the VFW hall it's Assault on Precinct 13 basically, and then VFW hall with Stephen Lang, William Sadler, Fred Williamson, George Wendt. Dude, this was the year of George Wendt, by the way, because he was in this and Bliss and I think something else. Isn't
the guy from the Warriors in this too?
Yeah. So it's great cast. I heard there were issues with Fred Williamson on the set of this movie with some sexual harassment.
What?
Yeah. Fred Williamson, first of all, looked like he could barely move. He was basically filmed standing strapped to like something behind him.
They had him in like an exosuit or something because he was like very
Get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah. And look, there were some parts where I go, man, why are they not like doing this or what? But it didn't matter because I just had fun with this movie from beginning to end. No matter how way off and stupid it got, it didn't matter. It's just I enjoyed it thoroughly.
This movie made me sad.
For
how old everyone was.
Seeing like all those guys like so old, like William Sadler looks so old. I felt bad.
Well, I didn't realize William Sadler didn't break out till he was like 40.
I know.
Die Hard too.
Yeah,
he was already old when he became a name.
Bill and Ted.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's a legend. Look, any movie where I get to see George Wendt sitting around a bar again.
Yes.
It made me miss bars even more.
Yeah, that was a good movie. It almost made my list again. I'm going to say that a million times. Every movie almost made my goddamn list.
We'll do some honorable mentions at the end.
Okay, what are we on? 8?
8.
This is the one where Hunter gets mad at me. My number 8 was Scare Me. I thought about this movie for so long.
Worthless. Just throw it in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage.
I thought this was just a masterclass in writing dialogue. I really did. I thought I laughed the whole movie. It's
masterclass.
It really was. The dialogue is amazing. It's not a movie for everybody. There are about 4 people on the planet I would actually recommend this to. Mm-hmm. So, take that with a grain of salt. But I was just sitting there like, I shouldn't like this. And I'm really, really enjoying this. And then by the time the end hit, I was like, that was very original, very different. And I loved it. So Kiss My Ass, Scare Me on Shudder is awesome.
In almost 4 years of us doing this show, it's the only movie I did not finish.
Wow.
Only one I was like, no, I even made it to the end of Erotica. This? No.
Damn.
I was like, I'm not wasting my time.
It is I mean, it gets some stars, I think, for just being original. Like Jason said, like the dialogue is so good. The dialogue carries that movie. I mean, without it, you wouldn't really have
It has to. Like two camera angles.
yeah, and like the two main actors definitely sold it. So I like that movie. It didn't come near my top 13 for me, but I'm not mad that I watched it. I don't think it's a movie that I would ever watch again, but it was definitely worth, I think, one watch.
Top
That's on the-
13
that's on the
top
poster.
13 list. That's
Yeah.
that's a bold,
Scared me.
move.
Worth it.
I got more ones coming.
Bad Ben Pandemic.
I didn't get to watch that. Damn it.
Me either. And I had Bad Ben TV.
Son of a bitch.
What are we
All
on?
right, Jack.
7?
Or yeah, not Jack. Jesus.
7, yes.
So 7 for me was the most depressing movie I watched all year. It's a movie that we talked about in great detail on this show. That is a movie called Relic.
Yep.
That was a heavy movie. If you want to go back and see just like some personal stuff, this was like one of the shows that like that we recorded that was probably the most personal show, because I know we just talked about, you know, in great detail Alzheimer's and like what that meant to us and like how this movie affected us, and I thought that was like a really personal experience that we had on the show. And this movie is definitely it's not a movie that you're gonna watch a lot, like you guys said.
Get that
But-
Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's not an own in the steelbook type of movie, but it's
No Wishmaster.
it's no Wishmaster 3, but it's a powerful movie. It has a great impact. It's a movie that knows like what it's trying to do, and it's again that family drama that comes out that I really appreciate in horror films. So for me, it landed on my top 7.
This one's so heavy, I would rewatch Scare Me before I'd rewatch that.
That's probably accurate.
I'd rewatch this before I finished Scare Me.
I think again, if I was a movie critic going by some kind of scientific scale, I would rate this movie higher than, from an entertainment standpoint, Dark and the Wicked is a similar somber movie, but much more fun to watch.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just think like the quality of Relic, and I think the message in that is done a little bit better than Dark and the Wicked, so that's why I ranked it a little bit higher. But you're right, like those movies are kind of similar in tone and similar thematically too. Like they have a lot of the same things going on in it. So, but I think this just was such a well-made movie. The acting in it is so good, and it's a movie that's gonna stay with me, and that's kind of been the theme for my 2020s. Like these movies are all like staying with me, and I think about them constantly.
Not necessarily enjoying them, but they're just staying.
Yeah, and I think that's like just a testament of like how well these movies are made. Like that they stick with you.
I can't wait to watch Antebellum and She Does Tomorrow and hate them and come on the show. And
I hope you do. I really hope you do.
I heard Antebellum was a pile of hot garbage, so I can't wait to see.
Like a lot of people whose opinion I trust. I was like, oh, all right.
But I can see that because it's different. It's not like your typical movie. So so I could see why people don't like it. But we'll see. We'll see.
Relic, yeah, I won't hold that against you though.
Yeah, Relic was a good one. It's just, yeah, it was so heavy.
Heavy.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh my god. And you know, it sat with me for a while, but a lot of the scenes are starting to escape my brain now. I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it at some point. But
I need another beer. You guys gonna be mad if I go run and grab another beer real quick?
yeah,
Time.
All right. I'll be back.
Go.
Stop
Pee while you're at it.
I'll just sit here quietly and wait for you.
what do you got?
All right, my next one is Possessor Uncut. Another one I had.
Put that on the list.
I had trouble where I was going to put this movie, so I just threw it in the middle because, again, I guess if we're talking about movies sticking with you, the visuals from this movie are amazing, and there's a lot of stuff that I keep thinking about. Great performances, really original stuff going on in this movie. So, and you know, the concept of a person who basically inhabits another person to be used as an assassin, and the ritual they have to go through to mimic this person and learn their life, and then all the crap they have to go through to carry out their mission, and you know, and the lies, and then the toll it takes on their life. I just thought about it. So again, I don't know if I made this list tomorrow. Again, I might move this up or down, probably maybe a little bit down, but I just really it made it an impression on me. So thumbs up, Possessor. Definitely should check it out.
No, I agree. It didn't
Yeah.
make my list, but it's a weird enough movie where it should make other lists.
It's probably on, or no, I don't remember if Tim liked it all that much.
I think he did.
I need to rewatch this again because I was very tired, and that is not a movie to like go in and out on.
No.
So I kind of want to space it for a while and then go back and revisit it because I have a feeling it's one that could have made my list had I watched it in better circumstances.
Tim, I just did Possessor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
Is it on your list?
It might be. I don't want to spoil it, man.
All right. There we go. All right. My number 7 was the last theatrical release I saw in the movie theater. And then I saw it again in a double feature at the drive-in with Relic. It's The Invisible Man, which was, to me, surprised the shit out of me because I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be The Mummy Tom Cruise all over again. But I like the way they updated the concept of the Invisible Man. I really, what's her name?
Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, so good. Again, this, like in Pedagore, the first 5-10 minutes of this movie are some of the tensest moments in the movie this year. I think that whole scene with her in the house is just
brilliant,
tremendous. Sets everything up for you. She's great. There's one scene in here that just everybody's mouth just drops open.
Yep.
You know it when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just pure movie perfection that you don't get to see very often, you know, especially when you're treading over old territory. If Blumhouse can keep this up with the Universal monsters,
the pressure is now on. There's going to be a Ryan Gosling werewolf movie. There's a Dracula in production. There's a couple of others, and they're all like, "Well, Invisible Man was able to do it, so now we know the template." You're like, "Really? What can you do like the Invisible Man with the Wolfman or Dracula?" Yeah. So he has just set the bar high for everybody. I hope they live up to it.
I think we should just get Lee Wannell to just direct all those movies because that would be amazing.
Hey, and if they don't work, at least we have the Invisible Man.
Exactly.
You know, the Invisible Man is like the last. I don't want to say blockbuster, but the last like big release in theaters.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's going to go down in history as like the one that theaters rode out on. It's a good one though. So
yeah.
Let's see, where are we? It's number 7. Mine is The Mortuary Collection.
Oh.
This movie really surprised the hell out of me, and it's another one that 2 or 3 of the segments just kind of stuck in my brain. Some of the crazy shit that happens in this movie involving childbirth and babysitting.
That was a great segment.
Gross.
It's one of the best anthologies you're going to see. Everything is done well. Everything looks slick. I was super, super impressed with it. And anytime you can get the Kurgan to come in and do some acting in your film,
Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown is so underrated. Like that guy needs more. I mean, I'm sure he's got enough work because he does like a lot of weird voiceover stuff. I think we talked about that.
There's a lot of. I think he's Lex Luthor in like every animated thing.
He does a lot of weird voiceover stuff, like stuff that you would never even think he's done. But he does, and I feel like he needs to be in front of the camera more because he's so good.
He's done
play a prison guard. I don't think he's done that in anything, has he? I don't know. This is one that I never in a million years would have thought would have made my list. And as I was putting it together, I kept thinking, God damn, that was a really good movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of anthologies, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, you hate anthologies.
The frat boy with the girl is worth the price of it.
Oh yeah,
it's good.
It had some cool twists and turns too.
It did. I highly recommend on Shudder. Shudder killed it for some of these movies this year. This is one of them that I just couldn't have been more pleased.
I'm so glad Shudder exists.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that got us through.
Seriously, it really has. I guess it's me for number 6. Moving on up right along, I'm going with a movie that I haven't heard you guys talk about a lot. I think Jason, maybe you mentioned it earlier. Color Out of Space. This movie, I mean, cosmic horror is my thing. If you know me, I love cosmic horror. So pretty much anything with cosmic horror in it is going to get some extra points. What can I say about this movie? It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's got great effects in it. You got Nicolas Cage doing his Nicolas Cage stuff throughout. It's a trip, man. There's some good like callbacks to movies like The Thing. And it's colorful. It's like visually stunning to watch. And I really, again, family drama is another aspect of this movie that you don't really think about. It kind of gets the problem with Nicolas Cage and his freak outs is it kind of overshadows a lot of like what's going on in the movie. But I think he actually toned it down in this movie as opposed to other movies like Mandy and you know like all those other movies.
Mom and Dad. That pile of coke and Mandy.
Like Mandy's good for that, but like that's, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Mandy, but like his performance in that is.
If you take Mom and Dad, Mandy, and this, Nicolas Cage is on a tear.
Dude, I don't know. I like this movie a lot. I thought they did a really good job with it. I've watched it maybe 2 or 3 times. I bought it on Blu-ray. What is that? What did you just show?
Nick, if you want to come over to my house and make some cheddar goblin, we can do it right now. I got 4 boxes, baby.
Jesus. I'm assuming you didn't like this movie. Is what the vibe I'm getting from you.
I liked it. It was not. It wasn't great. There were parts that were great and that were amazing, but as a whole, I was just like, it's good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Fell asleep 3 times in it.
Well, that's just because you like to sleep a lot. That has nothing.
I might
to do
need to rewatch this. I don't know.
The craziness of certain scenes really elevated it for me, and like I said, I bumped it off my list right before we started. Not because it's like my favorite movie of the year, but because there is some absolutely wild shit.
You had to make room for Scare Me.
Yeah.
Yes. As a matter of fact.
Good dig. Good dig.
Footage 3D Part 2.
Hey, that was a good one.
I like this movie a lot. I thought they did a really good job with it, and it's definitely a movie for me at least. Like I could watch this movie over and over again. Like I could just pop it on if it's on like Shudder TV. I could just throw it on. I wouldn't even care. Like it's just a movie that I could watch over and over again.
It's a great movie, dude.
Yeah, and dude, that those effects, especially the attic scene with the mom, like that was fucking brutal. Like I really love that. But again, like cosmic horror is my thing, so
it's your jam.
Understandable.
Yeah.
It's all right. We got our jams.
That's my jam.
Jack has jelly.
That's my number 6.
My number 6 is Jason's Name. Anything for Jackson.
Oh,
anything for Jackson.
Simply because we're having the screenwriter on next week.
The only reason why it's on there.
I had a bump and Pedagore off the list.
The director wouldn't return our calls.
So you have His House, Dark and the Wicked, and Anything for Jackson. I'm going to call the trifecta of haunting movies this year. And they're all great in their own way. Jackson rose above it because I think the term rewatchability comes in effect here again. I will watch this movie next October or sooner. Like there are genuinely scary parts to this movie. Well-made film, but it's a lot of fun too. And again, kind of like we were talking about with Wolf of Snow Hollow, there's a Coen Brothers feel in this thing, or Fargo thing going on here that adds to the character of it, and great cast. So I'm sure this could appear on other people's lists, so I don't have to go on forever for it. But what a surprise to go on to Shudder, find this. And the more, again, I watched it, I liked it, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, hey, you know what? I really enjoyed that movie. So giddy up.
Smart choice. All right.
Good choice, Jack.
My number 6, I had to go back and go, was this 2020 or 2019? I'm like, oh no, it's 2020. After Midnight. Jeremy Gardner, very low budget shot in probably his friend's house somewhere in upstate New York.
You're gonna make fun of me for picking weird movies? This is a weird ass movie.
It's not a weird ass movie.
Jason, I expect this to be like your number one.
It might be on my list, but I'm saying it's a weird ass movie.
I
It's
don't
like
know.
a drama.
Man. It's a drama because it's like this dude who lost his girl, really, and his grieving and paranoia and shit going on around his house. I love the dude who played his friend. We all have a guy like that in either our present or our past. And if you don't have one, he'll be in your future.
The girl in this movie
Yeah.
directed 12-Hour Shift.
Get out of here.
Just did a
Really?
podcast with.
Wow.
I need to
Well,
watch it.
And again, this is another movie where I fucking love the ending. The last 1
Oh,
minute.
yeah.
This could have been a turd. And I'm like, oh, it's great. Jeremy Gardner is really good. And we found out he was really sweaty again because it was really hot. So I'm glad to know it's not necessarily an aesthetic choice. It's just they just happen to film in very hot places.
What was that, like a 13-minute take, that conversation that
On
they
the
have?
porch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It was really long. It's good stuff.
This was number 5 for a while, but then I had to bump it to 6.
Well,
Sorry.
my 6 on down are I've like locked in on these. Number 6 is The Invisible Man. I
Not gonna argue with you there.
What else needs to be said? This was great. I had high hopes because of who was in charge of it, but it exceeded my expectations. And what? Are you giving me looks, Tim?
I don't know. You don't like him? You don't like his stuff?
No, I said I had high hopes.
Oh, high hopes. I thought you said you had low.
Lee Winnell, I think is awesome.
Oh, okay.
No, I think he's.
I was wondering where Tim was going with that reaction.
Yeah, I was like, I misheard you. My bad, guys. Listen, this is like my third IPA of the night. Things are just all sounding weird and crazy.
I like this over Antebellum.
Antebellum's actually my 49th favorite movie of the year, and I just somehow made it to 11.
Well, my actual 6 is The Invisible Man, and if there was a good movie for theaters to ride the sunset or ride out on the sunset, this is a good choice. So,
Yep,
I dig it. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to watch it. Solid stuff.
Oh man, number 5. I am going for Anything for Jackson. Going to put that in my top 5 because of all the reasons that we mentioned last week. And
the
yeah,
writer's coming on.
it's a solid movie. I didn't do it for the writer. I did it for my own because I love the movie. I watched it twice. I plan on watching it a third time, just in preparation for next week's episode when we have the writer on.
Before we talk to him about Hard Rock Zombies.
Yeah. But no, this is just such an intellectually appeasing movie. Like there's so much going on in it and so much in the subtext that it's just it's worth watching 3 times. Actually, I'm gonna try to show it to my wife, who's not really into like these like kind of low budget indie horror movies. She likes horror, but I'm kind of interested to get her reaction from it. I think she might like it, so it'll be an interesting.
Yeah, I could see a normie maybe getting into this. This
Pregnant woman getting abducted.
performances.
It's usually good for a normie.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting experiment in the Meyer household, but yeah, I don't know. This definitely belongs in my top 5. It's so good and it's worth the watch at least once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times.
I've seen it twice now.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. One of the few movies on my list I've seen twice.
Very nice. Well, I have 3 words for you, fellas.
Oh boy, can't wait.
I shit myself.
Come to daddy.
Oh, yeah, you like this movie that much? It's in your top 5?
You're goddamn right I did.
Damn.
And you should too.
I do like this movie. It's
Lady.
so weird though. It is such a strange movie.
Dude, this is 3 movies in one. You have 3 acts. They're completely different, and they're all bonkers. And you're always wondering where this thing is going.
It's
There's
so
a
much.
shit pen. Elijah
I have
Wood's
a shit
haircut,
pen.
when he's bragging about his phone, the corpse in the bed,
Oh, Stephen McHattie.
McHattie, the people in the hotel. I mean, this movie. How do you stop thinking about this movie? It's crazy.
This was such an experience for me. It was like one of those movies that was so all over the place that I couldn't even concentrate on it. Like it was so crazy. But I was still entertained by it. I thought it was pretty good. And Elijah Wood nails it.
Does he?
Yeah. This is one of those ones I tell if I always say this list, I'd be comfortable giving a stack of 13 DVDs to somebody else, Blu-rays, whatever. This would be in that pile. Be like, oh, you got to watch this one, especially if you're if you're a fan of a show like this, you should check this movie out. What a blast! And I wouldn't be surprised if it was on Hunter's list as well.
I don't know. My number 5, I'm right there. I'm holding hands with Tim Meyer. Anything for Jackson.
Yeah.
Definitely. As soon as I watched it, the first time I watched it, I was like, this is a top 5. It has to be.
When are our Blu-rays getting here from him, by the way?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I want Steelbooks now, damn it.
Yeah, I just thought, the writing was okay. I think the actors pulled through. They elevated what was written on the page. Probably.
Yeah, it must have been a struggle.
I love the performances, boy. The older couple who kidnapped this girl, I thought they were just great, and I've seen them in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And the Satanist from the library group that comes to help them, just with Cherry. So there was enough like bits of like dark humor mixed in with just some weird and terrifying stuff that I thought this was, and it was a great concept. So what people call it, reverse exorcism. So
yeah,
solid 5 faux show.
Gotta thank Josh Marcella for getting all of us to watch that, because I was like, nah.
I love Josh, but he didn't get me to. I just turned on Shudder and it was there.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, he was in the chat saying about 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and I was like, fine.
I watched it like the day it hit Shudder just because I've heard people talking about it, but it was definitely worth watching.
Because I do the news, I'd been seeing that trailer for a while, when I'm looking up stuff, and then when it just popped up on Shudder, I was like, oh, I don't have to pay for it. This can go towards my freaky fund.
Yeah, freaky fund.
All right, my number 5 is After Midnight.
Wow.
I really loved this movie.
Like,
it actually struck a chord with me, just what he was going through with his relationship and how he was struggling to deal with it, to say the least.
Not well.
It is an odd movie, and it's another one that is going to be hard to recommend to certain people. It's just different. There's not a lot out there like it, and that's why I absolutely love it. Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella freaking killed this movie. I hope they keep making weird little films like this. And yeah, the ending is just so wild and crazy and different than the rest of the movie, and I dug the hell out of it. And yeah. I don't care what he says about why Jeremy Gardner is sweaty in this. The dude is a sweaty mess in every goddamn movie. There's something going on.
Can you imagine what the car and the battery smelled like after that scene?
The way it should have actually smelled, which you imagine it would.
He shows up in other people's movies. He's in Bliss. He's like a crack addict or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Also sweaty. He's just method. He just plays sweaty characters.
You know what? He's sweaty and drunk in Spring. He's the dude's friend in the bar. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah. See, there's something going on here. We got to get to the bottom of this. But After Midnight is just, man, it's mostly people just sitting around talking. This is honestly the vast majority of this. And it's just so well done.
Good aspect ratio, too.
Beautiful aspect.
My God.
Solid aspect ratio.
The best.
Yeah. It's got one of the best scenes for nerds like me. If you just watch people talking forever and a slow zoom, it's good shit.
Nipples out.
Mm-hmm.
The turkey is done.
Wow. Wow. All right then. Number 4 for me is Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Hello.
Good solid movie that may or may not be about werewolves. I don't know. This movie kind of blew me away. Like, I wasn't going into it expecting just like, an average werewolf movie. But it's so much more than that. It's hilarious. There's a lot of drama going on in it. Again, just to harp on the family drama aspect that I enjoy in horror films. And then it's got like a twist in the end of the third act, and really in the third act too, like towards the end, that just kept you on the edge of your seat. And just great writing. Talk about dialogue. Like, the dialogue in this movie is really well done. And I just appreciated a really inexpensively made movie that that really relied heavily on writing and acting, and it pulled it off on every level, and I was really blown away by this movie.
Agreed.
You like shithead main characters.
Yeah,
It's
really.
really good.
And like that's the thing, like you can have main characters that are not likable. Like you shouldn't like this character, but it works.
I like the fact that he knew he was unlikable.
Yeah, that's the
Like,
best
he
part.
knew he
It's
was
like that self-realization that he's a douchebag, and like, oh man, that's so good. Like, this movie is so under the radar. Nobody's really talking about it. A lot of the top 10 lists I had pulled, it wasn't in there. Some of them it was on there, but yeah, this is a movie that I think needs more eyes on it. So definitely high up on my list.
Very nice.
Very nice. Well, I had to go back to Elvis Presley's granddaughter for my next movie. I'm talking about The Lodge.
Ooh,
Who's Elvis Presley's granddaughter?
Riley Keough.
Is she?
Is?
really?
Guys, you're talking to the mayor of horror now.
Or the
Don't
mayor
mess
of
with my
Graceland.
Sorry, didn't mean to insult you, sir.
Yeah,
I also have been to Graceland,
there we go.
So The Lodge. This movie is another dark shades of Hereditary. I just really like this movie. It's got this. It's depressing.
Uh-huh.
It's grim, but it's really like I didn't see what was coming really.
It's pretty rough.
And there's a huge surprise at the beginning of the movie that sets the tone for the whole thing.
Oh my god! I saw it in the theater. People screamed.
Yeah. And then just like the ending of that movie, just it stuck with me. And I kept thinking about where I said, this one belongs high up on the list. I really like this. I will watch this again. And I appreciated this one. There's a few things that you got to kind of roll with in it, but overall, where they went with it, I thought was bold. Basically, a husband and his new wife. The new wife ends up going to their snow lodge house with his two kids, and then he has to leave, and they're not trapped alone with her. They're stuck alone with her in the snowstorm, and things get a little shining on them.
Yeah,
it's a cool movie. Had some really cool twists, and a great performance by Alicia Silverstone, by the way.
yeah.
Didn't even recognize her.
I know, right? But I don't know why this movie it didn't do it for me. Like on
Family
every level.
drama. That was like.
I know. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the snow, and Mick Garris didn't direct this movie, so I don't know. Like
It didn't have the hedge monsters.
it didn't have the moving hedge monsters and like really slow speed.
We get
Didn't
it.
do it for me.
Well, it was my number 4 too, Jack.
Oh,
Nice.
It's haunting. The whole movie, it's haunting from start to end. And I'm glad I saw it in the theater. It was like the next to last movie I saw in the theater. And it was packed. There was not one empty seat in the theater when I saw it. And I was like, do these people know what the fuck movie they're here for? Like, this is some little independent horror movie. And yeah, I thought Alicia Silverstone was good. I thought all the performances were solid. There is a lesson about children in this movie that you got to watch to understand.
Riley Keough is amazing in it.
Riley
she's
Keough,
good, yeah.
she took care of business, right? Jack?
TCB.
So, yeah, this is a solid number 4. When I saw it, I was like, it's going to be hard to beat this movie. Like a lot of movies to beat this one down for me. I thought it was, and I saw it again since, and it's even better the second time. Believe it or
I
not.
forgot. Didn't you say when we did this one, you're like, this is my number 1? Like, there's no way anything's going to beat this. Was that this one?
No.
Oh,
It wasn't.
That was
okay.
Fantasy Island.
Oats the Goats.
I still haven't watched that. I need to get around to it.
Oh my god, I paid money for that.
All right. My number 4 is Hunter x Hunter. I'm not going to say anything about the story, as we've said, but this movie will stick with you like nothing else you've seen all year. It's very well done. It's a movie that I think I saw a tweet about it, and that was it. I knew nothing, and just really, really, really liked it. So I'm just gonna move on because I don't want to say anything. It's that kind of film.
Just watch it.
It's on the lists, baby.
Is it on everyone's list? I think we've all put it on there now, right?
I had it in my honorable mentions. I didn't put it on the list.
Tim's the only loser.
It was so close. It was close.
So close.
But I will say that the end of that movie will stick with you forever. Like,
Yes.
All
right, we're up to top 3.
Top
baby.
3. Holy shit!
Big
All
time,
right.
baby.
Going number 3. It's a movie that I believe somebody put on their list earlier. I think it was Jack. It is Possessor.
Wow. I thought
Number 3. Yeah, man. I don't know. Again, it's one of those movies that the first time I watched it, I was like, all right, I'm into it. It's pretty good. But after it was over, I continued to think about it and dwell on it, and I was like really blown away just by the intricacies of this movie. It was so like deep on so many levels, and really well done. The violence in it is so good. Just like that creepy the mask thing that you probably see from the cover. Just like a haunting image. And even though the movie's not necessarily a straight horror film, it definitely has like the imagery in it for a horror film. So I don't know. I really loved everything about this movie. It's so unique, and just
It's got another ending that kind of punches you in the face too.
yeah, it's a mind fuck of a movie, and like it's one of those movies that like you don't realize your mind's being fucked as it's getting fucked, but later on when you look back on it,
Like, I got roofied.
Is that why I lit up a cigarette when this was over?
you're like,
I
damn,
don't smoke.
this movie fucked with my mind a little bit. So
that should be on the steelbook.
yeah, it should be printed, stamped. But yeah, like no, this movie is so good, and I definitely recommend it to anyone, even if you're not into horror. I think this is a movie that you can kind of get on board with if you're into like sci-fi and like Matrix-y type stuff. So I don't know, just watch it. It's so good.
See, that's why I didn't put it on my list at all, because to me, I was like, this is straight sci-fi.
It is sci-fi, but I think that the level of violence in it,
It's pretty violent.
and the just like again like that mask, like the face wearing, like I don't know, that freaked me out. That was actually kind of freaky. I think it's just enough. It's on the fringe.
That was a horror story for the guy, the main character guy in that movie.
Yeah. I think it's just enough horror that you can classify it as horror. But again, like I like movies that do that. I like movies that don't like just jump into one genre. I like movies that kind of like take a little bit from each genre and kind of pull them all together. So that's another aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed. But yeah, like it's totally worth a watch, and it's got repeat value. Like I can't wait to watch this movie again.
I want to watch it again just because I was too tired to
stay awake
first.
And I need to watch the unrated version because I hear it's very sexy.
Oh, I did hear there was a scene.
I hear there's
Hands
lots
off.
of, I hear there's lots of XXX rated stuff in it. So
Vagine.
So, Hunter, you didn't put this on because it's too sci-fi, but you put Logan on a couple years ago.
Yes, because that's the most brutal, violent movie of all time, and nothing beats the violence of that movie. So that's straight horror. Yes,
I'm just saying.
That's straight horror.
The Sean Bean scene in fucking Possessor is fucking straight horror. That is terrific.
It's great.
Great. Dude, watch Possessor. It's so good.
I did.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are listening. Millions of people who are listening.
The finalists. The
finalists.
The finalists.
By adding Tim, we've almost we almost doubled the listeners.
We're up to 9.
Yay!
What do you got, Jack?
Number 3, Purple Rain.
Ah, yes.
Classic. Oh my God, I want to go swimming in Lake Minnetonka.
Oh, I'm sorry. Color Out of Space. It's the purple. Got me.
Oh,
Yes. Good for you,
Wow, I
man.
didn't see that coming.
Good for you.
I would have
Color
never
for you.
called this.
Well, that's because
No.
you have bad taste in movies. I can't help it.
I'm proud of you, Jack.
Bad taste in friends. That's
We
a
should
sign.
hang out more. Is really.
Tim, be careful. I appreciate it. But
I'm sorry.
Still a lady at Antebellum.
I'll tone it down a little bit.
Here's the thing. This movie, number one, good Lovecraft movies come around seldomly. Two, Nicolas Cage goes off the walls in this, and if that's not worth the price of admission, I don't know what is. Cool special effects. The daughter is so wacky and creepy in this movie. Jolie Richardson, the thing that happens in the barn and then in the attic. Tommy Chong out in the shed.
I forgot about Tommy Chong.
Yeah, dude, he's great.
Friggin' well. The tomatoes in the sink. This is a weird movie. And
But I'm
you're
shocked
watching
it's
it, you're
so
like,
high for you.
it was bananas. Like I was watching, I was like, I don't know, this is a week. All right, where's this going? And then it just goes absolutely bananas in like the third act. And I really enjoyed it. It's on Shudder now. I can't wait to, now that we're through the push, I'm gonna go back and watch it at my leisure. But I had a blast. I'm telling you, that thing that happens in the attic or whatever,
Dude, it's so
like that's just like amazing. And just little creepy things, like when I think like the first time like the pink grasshopper comes out of the well and it just like flies away or something, you're like, wait, get that, what are you doing? So I had a blast with this movie. And what's the guy's name who made this movie?
Richard Stanley, yeah. He's the guy who did the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah. So when they remade Castle Freak, I kept thinking to myself, why wouldn't you let Richard Stanley, if somebody's going to go and do those movies over again, let him do it, man.
Yeah, really. I would like to see what he did with Castle Freak.
So again, this movie is just insane, and there's a lot of people who are going to watch this and be like, "What the heck are you talking about?" But for me, once this movie got going, and he was doing that, what was it, the Vampire's Kiss voice?
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell is going on here?
I cannot stand that.
I fucking love that.
Like, it was just so weird and wacky that, again, indelible impression on me that, again, maybe I'll watch it again and be like, I was crazy. This is number 3, but it's definitely in the top. I had a blast with this movie.
You're right, man. You're right. You're justified to put it in the top 5, and it's just a fun movie. It's just fun to watch.
Did this grow on you over the year? Because I don't remember you loving it this much when we did the episode.
I liked it a lot.
I remember us all liking it, but I don't remember anybody like top 3 material. But I just could be misremembering.
It grew in him like a fungus from space.
Here's the thing: as movies kept coming in, you start stacking them up against each other. And there were several movies that we saw early, like Come to Daddy and this, like VHW. That was called VFW.
VFW.
I love that movie. It didn't make my list, but it's like
the veterans of horror wars.
It's right up there. Like it could have made the list, but that's one that I was like, maybe it's a little bit not horror as much as it is Cell Block 13 or whatever, Precinct 13, whatever. So I can still love this movie and recommend it to people, but I'm not gonna. This one, I just felt like, for what are the great horror movies I saw this year, this is one of them, and it was the special effects were just so cool.
I like that. It's cool.
Second best Lovecraft adaptation ever made.
Boom.
Dagon.
Ooh.
Boom.
Better than Reanimator?
Yeah.
Hell out of here. Better than From Beyond?
Yeah, you're right. I guess.
From Beyond to me is the closest.
All right, 4th best.
All right, there we go. We put it in its proper place. All right, my number 3. This movie was talked about earlier. It is Impedagore. This is a great movie. Get the family together. Kids of all ages could sit down and watch this movie.
Don't do that.
I highly suggest that you get your young children fully indoctrinated in horror. Make sure you get a pregnant wife.
Get a pregnant wife. Doesn't matter where you can find her. Just go get it.
Grab a pregnant wife.
Just go find one on the streets.
And then, as you're watching the movie, move in a big bowl of water and have her wonder what the fuck it's there for. And then, discover together. I thought this was a tense movie. It's a weird movie. I think the fact that we're not Indonesian, so I didn't know, like, the girl in the beginning in the toll booth. I'm like, well, she's probably expendable. Like, who knows? Like, so I don't know what her star power is. And I like that. And I thought her and her friend, I thought were great. The town was freaky. The story was weird. And it was creepy, and it was horrendous in some parts. I just thought it was great. In fact, I liked this more than Satan's Slaves. I would watch this one over and over again, mostly because I love, like, the banter between the two girls. And I want to watch
so fast it's hard to read the subtitles.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's why I need a rewatch, because especially in the beginning, I'm like, what? I can't keep up. Well, it's 220 somethings talking on the phone.
I love this movie. One tiny nitpick I had with it.
Yes.
The exposition thing they do to kind of explain what's going on towards the end.
Yeah. That's when I was trying to explain to my wife. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's needed, though.
Yeah, it definitely is needed.
It's very convoluted.
But yeah, I love this movie. This would be a big rewatch for me.
Yeah, really good.
I have a confession. I haven't seen Satan's Slaves.
Oh, it's a good movie.
I thought I had, and then when I was looking up in Pedagore, I was like, "Oh, let me go Satan's Slaves, make sure." And I'm reading. I'm like, "No, definitely have not seen this." Son of a bitch.
Right.
Everybody who watches Conjuring movies should go watch these two movies and see the real hardcore.
You can make a scary one.
Yeah.
My number 3. This is my year of the writing. I have so many movies on here that I love the writing, so they're moving way up the list. Is Anything for Jackson? Maybe it's because he's coming on.
Suck up.
Maybe it's recency bias, but I don't give a shit. I love this movie. This is, I think, one of 2 or 3 movies on my list I've watched twice, and I will probably watch it again here soon. This is one I think a lot of people would like, unlike some of my other weird picks. I think this is the kind of movie that, you're talking about wanting to show people who watch The Conjuring in Pedagore to show them you can do a scary movie. Show them this too. It can be done for $1.95 in a house with 4 actors. And
not $1.95, but close.
Yeah, that's how you rounds up to $250.
What's a $250,000? He said.
Yeah, $250,000, which is very impressive if you know anything about movie budgets and
and got actual actors.
Yeah.
Which is honestly is the problem with most of the small budget stuff we watch. The writing stinks and the acting stinks.
Right.
Those are 2 things that are really hard to do, with a shitty budget. And they just knocked it out of the freaking park. I love this movie. I just I can't say enough good things about it. And I keep telling people to watch it, and they're like, exorcism thing. I'm like, no, you have to watch this movie.
Smack those people.
Watch next week's episode. We're gonna get all the inside scoop out of the movie.
I can't wait. I'm thrilled that we actually got this. This is going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Going to be cool.
Pumped for it.
Number 3. Now we're up to number 2, right?
Number 2.
What's your big number 2?
Going with a movie that we've... you son of a bitch. Going with a movie that we've discussed heavily already, so I probably don't need to talk about it too much, but His House on Netflix. Again, just a movie that I threw on a whim and was just completely blown away by the story, by the writing, just everything about it. The scares, like, this was one of the scariest movies I've seen this year, and it top 2 obviously for me. I know you guys hold it in high regard, so I know I'm not too crazy putting it up there, but I love this movie. It's totally worth watching, and I think every horror fan should check it out. And Netflix.
Your list is just rough. It's a lot of rough. If you go with the Tim Myers list, you're just gonna have a very unpleasant time. But you're gonna watch quality movies.
Yeah, that's the thing. I went for quality. I went for movies that resonate with me personally. And
dark man.
Yeah, I do. I like the dark stuff. I do. But that's why I had to have Color Out of Space on there to kind of balance it out, because that's Probably one of the lightest horror movies you could probably watch.
True.
Yeah,
Besides, like Freaky, I have Freaky on there
I mean,
too.
other than people melting together.
I was gonna say, like, it's technically bright,
It's super bright
but
compared to
totally
some
dark.
just get stoned and you're all right. All right.
If people shotgunned your list back to back to back, they jump off an overpass.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so intense.
Yeah,
The Lodge really should be on your list.
I know.
You know what's weird? Like, I don't know why. I just did not connect. I thought it was a good movie. I just didn't connect with it for some reason. I don't know why. I just it had two really good twists in there. But
Read your list over 10 times and then pop the Lodge in. I like this. It'll get you in the mode and watch Lodge. Oh fuck, that'd be number
maybe.
3.
no.
Watch
Okay.
Relic, The Lodge, and The Dark and the Wicked, or whatever.
His house,
His house.
Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, no, it's been a weird year for dark movies, but the next one, my number one, isn't any lighter, so
Yeah, I needed brightness this year. Last year sucked ass. That was, I think, that's why my movies aren't as dark.
Show us your number 2.
I can't because it's invisible.
Oh,
That's
Wow,
right.
way up there.
Invisible Man. I did not want to see this movie. The trailer did nothing for me. It looked like it was going to be big studio garbage. And I went and saw it. And I was like, what the heck was that? Hunter's exactly right. The first 10 minutes of that movie sets the tone. What tension. God, so much is told in that while it's happening too. You learn a lot about her and the husband right in that scene, and the stakes that are going on. And then the way that movie is filmed like a haunted house movie for a lot of it is just amazing, and the special effects are spectacular. So for me, it was such a pleasant surprise, groundbreaking, fixing the dark universe fiasco.
Thank God.
And Elizabeth Moss is great in it. So for me, Invisible Man number 2.
Hmm.
I don't know why you guys keep saying fixing. I mean, what was wrong with Russell Crowe's?
wait,
I don't know.
Russell Crowe's what?
Dr. Jekyll,
But he
and
was
Mr. Hyde.
Did that ever happen?
Did you see
The Mummy.
in The Mummy.
I didn't watch I started watching The Mummy and then I fell asleep and I was just like, you know what? I'm not
Dude,
watching the shit.
You need to at least watch the Russell Crowe part. It's preposterous.
The first 15 minutes of the movie was preposterous. I couldn't get through the rest of it.
Dude.
Oh yeah, the
it's
Russell
best.
Crowe thing takes it to another level.
I got to watch that now, and now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't imagine who was writing it and how they thought it was a good idea. It's-
All right.
That's another
Let me
podcast.
Let me drop a deuce on all of you. All right. I suspect that my number 2 might be Jason's number 2.
Ooh.
I don't know why, but I'm throwing it out there. No one's mentioned it yet. The Hunt.
Mm.
Dude, that was almost going to be in my top 10. Almost. It was so close.
I had so much fun with The Hunt. What's her name? Betty Gilpin.
She's great.
Can we make her like the new Stallone or Schwarzenegger? Can we just put her in a
Yes,
different movie every year?
please.
She's phenomenal. I thought this movie could have gone either way. It could have gone to leftist propaganda or right-wing propaganda, right? This went down like it made fun of friggin' everybody. And I like the fact that they're trying to pigeonhole who she is, and she's never letting on
Yeah, that was the
what
best.
she's all about. This movie, talk about a little bright spot. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with me where I'm having so much fun watching somebody murder lots of people?
Mm-hmm.
But fuck them, they deserved it, and I felt good. Like not a lot of things make me feel good this year. This movie made me feel good, and I bought copies of this movie, several, when they came out on Blu-ray.
I'm glad somebody put this movie on their list because it really is a fun movie. It was like almost in my top 13. Like I really wanted to put it in there just because it's a fun movie to talk about, and it's written by one of my favorite writers of like all time, Damon Lindelof. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his stuff.
Yep.
But he's done
Lost, I think, right?
He's done Lost. Huge writer on Lost. He did The
Watchmen.
Leftover. He did the Watchmen TV series. The Leftovers also on HBO, which is super underrated. Nobody talks about that, and it's one of the best shows ever made. But yeah, like that movie is solid and hilarious. And again, like it's a movie that has comments a lot on social commentary and like social events that are going on. But it's a movie that doesn't pick a side. It just attacks everybody, and that's like so. That's like the best thing about this movie. And Betty Gilpin is so good in it. She's hilarious.
Yeah, I could watch her all day.
I'd never seen what's her show? Damn it,
the wrestling show.
Before that, I was
Glow,
like, yeah, this, and man, is she amazing!
Great.
Such a weird performance.
This is another one that came on and off my list a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think I probably swapped Freaky in for this because I thought that Freaky was more of a horror movie than this. I thought this was more of an action movie. And I was like, I'll just celebrate it in honorable mentions, but I loved it. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. My number 2 is not that. It is I See You.
That came out this year?
That was this year. My COVID brain thought it was last year.
I thought so too, but I remember watching this.
Yeah, so I actually think it released in the United States, like in local theaters at the very end of 2019, but it wasn't available to everybody until this year. I said great writing is what got a lot of these movies on. God damn, the writing in this movie is so good. There are so many. What's that?
Number 2?
There are so many legit twists in this. It blew me away. Yeah, this is my number 2 movie.
It does have a great twist in it.
The fact that in the middle of the movie, it turns into a found footage film, like out of freaking nowhere, and the whole story gets turned on its head. And you're like, what the hell? It feels like somebody put the wrong movie in halfway through. And then it just weaves together, and I loved it. And we got to talk to the director and the producer, and they were super cool. And a lot of the stuff we liked, they were able to, tell us why did they do this, why did they do that. Particularly a shot at the beginning where we're like, the kid flying off the bike, and I like that the director's just like, yeah, we cheated, but it worked.
That's true, it did.
Yeah, it's great. I love this movie. It's another one that I have watched more than once. I See You.
Thanks to this movie, Jason and I have taken up frogging. We do this every weekend.
You just hang out and
our fat ass is sneaking in through windows.
I'm still pretty nimble. I can do it.
You just because you're drunk all the time.
This was another one of those movies that we were like, really? This is going to be good or whatever? And we watched it, we're like, what the heck was that? Nobody's talking about this movie. It was so good.
Yeah. Nice surprise.
A guy my wife trains was like telling her, you have to have your husband watch this. I'm like, what? Fine. And I put him like, what the hell? No one has mentioned this at all.
He's a good man.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 1. We're getting to the end, guys.
I think we all might have different number 1s too.
I think we might, which is going to be awesome. My number 1 has been mentioned a lot tonight. Does anybody want to guess it? Does anybody want to try to take a stab?
I'm trying to think what you haven't mentioned.
Freaky?
I already mentioned that one.
I have no idea.
All right. Well, I'm going with a movie that I slept on for far too long. I wished I had seen it when it came out in theaters because it came out, I think, right when the pandemic kind of started, like right before it. And that movie is The Invisible Man.
Number 1.
Number 1, dude, this movie blew me away. Like I had heard good things about it, but I didn't think it was going to be that good. So like I already had like high expectations. This surpassed my expectations. It was, everything was perfect about it. The writing, the production, there's been a lot of good movies this year that have had like really cool twists in them. And I appreciate a good twist, but there was a scene in the midpoint of this movie that just blew me away. And like, I literally had to rewind it to watch it because I watched it on HBO when it first hit HBO.
Right.
I literally had to rewind it and watch it over again just to make sure like what I was seeing, my brain was like taking in properly because like it came out of nowhere. Yeah. And it really changed the whole direction of the movie. And just like Elizabeth Moss, man, she is so good. Everything she's in is good. And I don't know. This movie was just like the perfect movie of the year. And everything about it, just the writing, again, social commentary, just phenomenal writing. You don't get this stuff from like major Hollywood productions lately, and I was blown away, man. It's so good.
And made the word gaslighting the drinking word of the year.
Yep.
But dude, I even like when you find out like what, because like the Invisible Man it's obviously different from the original, right, from the source material.
Tad.
And even when you find out like what is happening, even that's just like kind of like holy shit, like this is like genius. I don't know. This movie just blew me away, and like I said, I already had high expectations going in, and usually when I have high expectations going into a movie, I'd never meet them for like, let alone surpass them. So like this just for me is just like the movie of the year.
This is so shockingly mainstream for you to be your number one. It just blows.
I know. Like it's weird, but like
It's Jack's Color of Space. It's like what?
Yeah.
I usually I like to give credit to the the smaller movies because like I'm an independent guy, right? Like I like independent films. I like small, low budget stuff. And I like to give those a platform. But I think this was so well done from every aspect that you can't ignore it. Like it's the best movie that came out this year, in my opinion. So
damn. Strong words. All right, Jack.
I'm interested. Is it Mother Part 2? Mother Part 2.
Motherboard. The number one movie of the year for me is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Whoa. Good movie though. I love it.
Jeez.
This is the only movie I watched twice out of all of them. I'll go back and watch other ones twice. I watched this 2 nights in a row because I watched it the first time and I was so like baffled. It's like, wait, this movie was hilarious, but it's tugging at my heartstrings.
I want to cry.
This main character is so confusing. He's lovable and hateable, and Robert Forster. I mean, just everything about this movie. Because it's not just a great horror movie; it's a great movie. It's Jason. You're talking about writing. The writing in this movie is spectacular, and the production values, the even just the drone shots of Utah are beautiful. And there are little Easter eggs in this movie that I read about afterwards, and then I when I watched it the second time, I even noticed a few things that I want to go back and watch it again. I'm probably going to end up buying this one out of all of them. That I kept going, well, this has to be somewhere in here. But when I kept thinking about it, this is the movie I've been thinking about the most out of everything we watch, and it's not even the horror is a great piece of this, but the entire ensemble, the comedy is hilarious, the tragedy is compelling, and the story is amazing. So I had a total blast with this movie, and I said this one's number one.
Wow,
very surprising.
Shocked the shit out of me. Jack, you're full of surprises tonight. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, my number one movie, I saw it in January, and when I saw it, this is the number one movie, and nothing's going to top this. And guess what? Nothing did.
The Turning?
Things maybe sniffed around its butt, but no, they couldn't overtake this dog. Come to Daddy, baby.
Oh, man.
Damn.
Fucking love this movie. When I saw it, there was a special presentation at the end. There was an interview with Elijah Wood and the director. Live interview with them on there, and I thought that was great. The best part was walking in, and we get in, and on the little table in front of us, there is a baggie with a pen in it, which looks like dog shit all over the pen. And I'm like, what is this? Like I open it up and I go, oh, it's chocolate. The shit pen thing is just genius. My shit pen is in a special shrine here in the house. I don't want to touch the shit pen. Elijah Wood. His haircut is amazing. I think if you just had that haircut and that facial hair and the outfits, I think you could act any way you want. You could Nicolas Cage it. You could do whatever you want, man. You're gold. Steve McHattie was fucking terrifyingly weird. And from the interview, he was kind of terrifying to work with too. It was just
He's got to be like 90 pounds.
yeah, but they're still scared shitless of
He's
him.
terrifying though.
Yeah, everyone's scared of him. To me, this is the best movie of the year just for the conversation that the two of them have, prodigal son returning to dad, talking about the son trying to talk himself up and saying, yeah, I know Elton John. And Steve McHattie goes, yeah, I was his limo driver.
Best dialogue in that whole movie.
We should get Elton on the phone right now. it's so tense. This movie is tense. It's funny. It's weird. There are bizarre twists in this, bizarre characters. This is the kind of shit I needed. And I needed it before I thought I needed it because I didn't know what COVID was when I saw this movie. But it just hit my horror funny bone. I fucking adore this movie. I think I've watched it 3 times this year. And every time I see something that I missed the time before. So it's weird. I thought really this would make a lot of lists, and it really hasn't, which just
nobody's talking about this movie. What's wrong with people?
I don't know, but Come to Daddy is my number one. I'm gonna fly the flag here for this movie.
Wow.
Good for you,
that
man.
didn't even make my top list. I really liked it, but it's just so strange. And it didn't resonate with me the same.
It's definitely one of the most bizarre movies I've ever seen. And this is coming from a guy who loves The Greasy Strangler. And, Elijah Wood produced the Greasy Strangler.
Yes.
Brought that to life. So I'm
actually surprised that you don't like this movie more based on
I know. I wanted to like this movie. This is one of those movies I think I had like high expectations going into it. I'm like, oh God, this is going to be like Greasy Strangler-esque, but like more serious. And like, I don't know why I liked it. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just like, it was kind of like middle of the road for me. And
stab you in the gut with a pen full of my waste. We'll see how funny you think it is. No.
I might enjoy it then. But no, it's definitely oh yes, so good. It's definitely worth watching. Don't let me deter you from checking it out. It's definitely a movie that's worth a watch.
Well, if your low expectations made you or your high expectations made you maybe not like Come to Daddy, my low expectations made me love The Hunt. That is,
I knew you'd have it there.
Your number one?
It's my number one.
Dude, that's amazing.
I had more fun with that movie than any movie in any genre this year. I put it on thinking I'm going to hate this pile of shit.
Yes.
It's just be this one-sided political nonsense, and I laughed my ass off the whole time. I had no idea who Betty Gilpin was. I was like, this chick is amazing. She's doing this really weird performance. And really? I loved it. I have probably watched this at least 3 times.
Damn.
It's just so much freaking fun. And I love it. And I think part of it too is we were talking about this movie while it was being made on the show. And then it got delayed because of politics and all this crap. And I remember people were giving us shit because we were saying this movie should come out. It doesn't matter what its politics are. You don't get to just keep it from coming out in theaters because you don't agree with it.
Oh, that's shit.
And then it comes out and it's nothing like anybody expected. It just is right down the road, shitting on everyone. And I had a blast with it.
If you're going to take that movie out of I understand there was a shooting. So if they want to delay it a little bit out of sensitivity, I get that. Except that everything on Netflix and Amazon is a gunfight. And there's 50 million other movies that are gunfights. So picking that movie out, but because of the political overtones, I get it. But once they gave the sensitivity time to it, then it just got ridiculous. You're like, okay.
I think the reason it got delayed was because Trump tweeted about it, saying that movies like this shouldn't exist, and people were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, it's just a movie, and it's like you guys said, it's a movie that doesn't pick sides. It's also a movie that has the balls to kill off like A-list actors in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah, don't get attached now.
I love that about movies. Like I wish more movies would do that. Like it's such like that's one of to me like as a moviegoer, that's one of the most gratifying experience when you see like an A-list actor's like name in the credits and then they're dead in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. Everyone you think is going to survive by the end of the first act, they're all dead, and they're dead in hilarious ways.
And then you're stuck with guys like Dennis Reynolds in like the third act, so it's all good.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah. So the shock of the year for me is not only that I liked The Hunt, but it is my number one movie of the year.
That's awesome, man.
We're brothers.
Mm-hmm. Tubby time.
Finally, 2021. Everything's looking up.
That's
you guys want to just quickly
fire some off.
run through some. Go ahead, Tim. Throw out your.
I had
honorable mentions.
I had a lot, guys. Let me look at my list.
Speed round.
The Hunt was obviously on there. We just talked about that. The Beach House was, I think, another movie that's worth a watch. Spiral, also worth a watch. Underwater, which we had talked about. Hunter x Hunter, which we had talked about in great length, and two other movies that we kind of didn't talk about at all. One was a movie called Swallow. I don't know if you guys had seen.
Get to see that one.
Swallow is an excellent movie.
It's excellent. I wouldn't really classify it as a horror film. It's more of like a mystery drama. Again, super.
That's why I didn't make my list. I was like,
super slow. Like it is snail's pace slow, but it's just what
is it horror?
It's really
it borders horror. It's enough to where like it actually makes some horror lists when I was like doing my research, but it's also like not really horror at all, so which is why I couldn't really put it on my list. But I think people who enjoy the horror genre will appreciate it for just like it's basically about a chick who swallows inanimate objects, like, and she has like this compulsion that compels her to keep swallowing these inanimate objects, and just like how it destroys her life. So it's just an interesting film, but it's just like set up as like a mystery thriller type way, but it's super slow, worth a watch, but definitely I guess it's worth mentioning on this. And then another flick called Vivarium.
Weird one, yeah.
Weird movie. Definitely, I could classify that as like a horror flick. It's very Twilight Zone-esque, and that's another movie that's like really worth a watch. Again, doesn't really land in my top 13, but it's definitely worth a mention.
All right, Jack.
Almost made my list. It kind of broke my heart not to put it on. Impedagore was right under, was number 14.
That's right.
VFW, love that movie. Like I said, maybe didn't make the 13 because it wasn't horror enough, but I freaking love that movie. Come on. The Hunt was on there for a while. I love that movie. Think it's great. It's a blast. Sea Fever, honorable mention. The Rental, I really like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alison Brie, Franco directed it, did a great job. Really good. The ending of that movie really was strong. And then the last one would be Sputnik. I really enjoyed that Russian cosmonaut movie.
Yeah, people tell me that movie was shit, and I watched. I'm like, what are you talking about? This movie was good.
It was really, for a while there, it was on my top 13, but it just kept like, nah.
Yeah,
but I would, again, without these rules to go by, I would tell you definitely watch that movie. So those are my honorable mentions.
Well, mine were Underwater. Like I said, that was between that and Sea Fever.
I give that one too.
His House, but again, I would never watch that again. So, Porno, really enjoyed Porno when it first came out. That's a fun movie. The Selling, which one of you guys saw The Selling?
Oh, that is
the dude trying to sell the haunted house.
Is that 2020 though? I thought that was like an older movie.
I thought it was this year.
Well, whether it was or not, it's a funny movie.
That's a funny movie. Like I needed funny movies. Like Babysitter, Killer Queen. None of us mentioned that.
Oh yeah, dude. That's an underrated flick too. That should have been on my. I
don't think it's top 13, but it was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
For a sequel, that was solid. For a sequel horror comedy, I thought that was solid. And I had Sputnik too. I thought Sputnik was really cool.
Yeah, I like Sputnik. IMDb says The Selling was 2011.
Wow.
Are you serious?
That's what it says.
Oh, fuck it. Then it's not this year.
9 years too late.
Yeah.
You're close. All right. I had Come to Daddy, VFW, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, Run, and Host were the ones that I was like on the list, off the list, on the list. It was like, what mood are you catching me in?
Run,
those-
Run is
like I
good.
said, anything from like 6 or 7 up, you could just interchange,
Yeah.
depending on the hour.
Yep.
I just loved all of them. So
I don't know about you guys, but I have banked a good 5 or 6 movies that for my next couple of episodes. There are some other 2020 that I've watched that I'm just going to unveil there instead of mentioning them here. That there's some really good stuff that I saw that would be honorable mentions, but I would imagine that might be the same for you guys too.
It might.
maybe.
Maybe.
I don't want to give anything away.
This was a really good year for movies, though.
It turned out
Surprising.
unexpected.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah, I can't
I thought
complain.
this was a disaster at one point.
Even Host, I didn't even recommend. The fact that even came out the way it did, like, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Our viewers, go out to our YouTube channel and put in the comments what were your movies like. Let's get some feedback. Or
Yeah.
did you discover anything from this episode that you watched and liked, or rip on us like you usually do? Whatever.
Yeah.
Lord knows we brought a lot of movies to the table tonight.
Make your own list and we can compare notes and chat about it.
Plus, I'm always looking for more stuff to watch. So if you found good movies that we didn't watch,
Absolutely.
And then get people to like Come to Daddy, and you can give them a shit pen for like birthdays, holidays.
I want to see this shit pen. You better bring it next week for like show and tell because I want to see this fucking thing.
It's just a red cheap ass pen covered in chocolate.
I've seen it.
Way to sell it, buddy. Way to sell it.
Yep. Mm-mm.
gentlemen, it's been a long ass episode. Well done.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
I'm tired.
Great episode. I'm drunk.
Kick 2021 in the nuts.
Can we finish now? Are we done forever?
We'll be back next week with a special interview and and a review of the amazing movie Hard Rock Zombies.
Cool.
Gentlemen, till next week.
Yep.
Later. Bye.
See you, everybody.